thank you all for being here. Thank you to the folks who are listening to the show recorded. This is the Leadville Trail 100 Mountain Bike Podcast, the show that's now in its 5th season, amazingly.
Episode 24.
Episode 24.
You got to do the part about builds you up, breaks you down, freaks you out. People are here for that.
Okay. This is season 5, episode 24 of the show that breaks down, builds up, gets you ready, and freaks you out for the highest, hardest one-day mountain bike race in the country. That's what you want, right?
That is what I want.
Okay.
Come on, guys, let's saddle up.
I am Hottie.
I am Fatty, and here is Ken and Merilee.
Hey. How you doing, guys?
We thought we'd start this show off right? This is a live show here in Leadville at the Expo for the Leadville Trail 100. And what better way to start this show by having Ken Klober and Merilee to kick off not only the show, but this whole weekend of a terrific race that we've all fallen in love with. So to both of you, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for being here to help us kick this off. Thank you for all you've done for this community and this great race. It was, it goes without saying that not having you here last year, there was a deep effect on this race. Like we honestly missed you last year. So it's great to see both of you here back in place.
Well, thank you. And I want to guarantee you last week during all these races, and I was the one that was down and out, and Merilee was the one that was babysitting me. And all these races, we spent about those 2 weeks just tears in her eyes. Couldn't help it because one reason. This is family. And this is the greatest, best family reunion we could ever imagine, and we hated last year to miss it.
Well, welcome back. We're so happy to have you here. Couple of questions, one for each of you. Where are you going to be firing the shotgun at the starting line this year?
When?
Will you be firing the shotgun?
No kidding.
That be you?
Yeah, my obligation is singular, and that's to pull the trigger. Yeah. At the start of the race, I pull the trigger, it goes bang. At the other end of the race is Merilee with the buckle. So between the bang and the buckle, it's all up to you.
So when the gun goes off, what do you two do? I know that I see Merilee along the course often. I know you have a busy day. What do you do in between that time?
So usually we're in part of the laid out going out to St. Kevin. And then once the riders get off on the dirt road at St. Kevin, we take off and go to the Bear Lake Road to warn of impending danger on the hard right downhill.
We just warn them. It doesn't help because there's still a few crash into the trees. So
and let me just say to our Leadville family, welcome home. We're so glad you're here.
Oh, son.
And we're so glad to be here.
Sons and daughters. So, yeah, thank you for being here.
That's great. Fatty, I can always remember coming up that red carpet and just having one thought in mind, that is, where is Merilee? Like, totally focused on where is she? I need that medal. I need that hug now. What is it like, by the way, handing out all those medals? Do we really smell as bad as we think we smell? I mean, what's the experience like for you?
So over the years, everyone comes in and says, "Oh, you don't want to hug me." I am sweaty. I smell. It's this. It's that. You know what? It smells like heaven. It does, because you have finished. And I want to celebrate with you.
Fantastic. We can do more than we think we can, but I think we smell worse than we think we do.
No, Pat, it's all about digging deep, and digging deep made Leadville rich. So, and it'll make every one of our runners, it'll make you rich in heart and spirit and tough and grits and guts. If you cross that finish line, it'll change your life.
Absolutely. It has changed my life 24 times now. So,
And look what you did too in the process. You made a little podcast out of the whole deal.
Little podcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Ken, Merilee, I know that you have obligations. Thank you for joining us at the start of this show. We are looking forward to seeing you at the starting line.
Well, give Merilee just a little minute here, because you said the emphasis of this show is going to be strong, determined Leadville women. So I want to introduce you to the number one strong, determined Leadville women. I've had some success in my life in business and in politics by looking at Merilee and saying, "Yes, ma'am."
So, Leadville was built on the backs of strong, courageous, determined women. And even just last week, for Boom Days, we celebrated women in mining, because women have been a part of Leadville since Leadville was born, and a very important part. So we always try to encourage more women in all our events. Over the years, we've found women are tougher. It's the truth. We have lots more men entrants than we do women, but if you just look at the finishing percentage, women always have a higher finishing percentage, both bike and run, just among their particular ilk. So, women rule.
Here.
Can't deny it.
Yep.
Okay.
Ken, Merilee, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having us, your family.
Everyone, Ken and Merilee. Not a bad way to start a show, you know? If you're going to have a Leadville Trail 100 mountain bike podcast,
To have the people who embody this race and that matters so much. I mean, honestly, at a personal level to each and every one of us. So, time for the first ad roll.
I think it is. Well, some of you hopefully know that Shimano is the component sponsor of the Leadville Trail 100 mountain bike, or not the mountain bike podcast, but also just the Leadville Trail 100. I mean, Shimano components have backed this race and backed this show for quite a while now. So, Fatty, what the hell are you going to be running on your bike this year? I hope it's Shimano, and I think Leaks of the Hammer, too, has got some new Shimano components working.
Oh, my goodness. We are Shimano head to toe. So, I mean, literally head to toe. I'm riding with a Laser Kineticore helmet. You know that.
Yeah.
The Strada, one of the safest helmets that you can buy, 100%. The Pro Griffin saddle, I'll be riding on that. XTR and XT brakes and rotors. Lisa is riding with the XTR derailleur, XTR chain, XTR pedals. And I am riding an S5E shoe. So, I mean, honest to God, I am riding with the stuff that I love, and we're happy to be sponsored by by Shimano.
Right, so check out their booth here or go to bike.shimano.com for more on all the stuff that Fatty rides and all the stuff that you can ride and make your Leadville Trail 100 bike that much faster and that much more efficient. All right, let's get on to the course. This is, for the folks who don't know, every show this year, almost every show this year, we've been breaking down the Leadville Trail 100 course segment by segment. Unfortunately, we left people hanging, I think, out there on off of Kevin somewhere for a couple of weeks. So we owe them a segment here, don't we? And to help us, look who we have to my left here.
Oh, I do not know. No,
Oh.
Of course we know.
Yes. This is Rose Grant, everybody, the two-time defending champ of the Leadville Trail 100. She is not only a super bike rider, but a super mom and a heck of an athlete to follow. And we're very, very glad to have Rose here to help us out with this final course segment and some other stuff, too, if you don't mind. So, Rose, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yep. So, Fatty, where are we? We've got the course. Let's have Rose, first of all, give us a little, her little kind of thoughts on this last segment. We're talking about, of course, the section I love to call the gutter, and of course the boulevard climb. What comes to mind what are you thinking about as you approach that portion of the course?
You're so close and you're so far at the same time. Yeah. It seems like it'll never end, and if you're battling with someone, it's just pretty brutal.
Brutal is right. The thing is, when you cross Turquoise Lake Road, if you look down at your GPS, you will notice you have gone 101 miles. This is no longer any question about this being a 100-mile mountain bike race. You are back on the dirt. You are paralleling the railway, and it is pretty easy for about 0.8 of a mile. Then you hit. If you aren't careful, you're going to go right through some surprisingly deep mud holes. They will go right past your axle and stop you cold if you decide to find out how deep they are. And then a tough left turn, and you are suddenly going uphill. Rose, as someone who is an actual champion of this race, how do you handle the boulevard?
Well, that left-hand turn, you actually see what you have to ride up, and I just think, I can't believe they do this to us. It only lasts for a couple minutes at most. And then the boulevard, I think it just takes a lot of mental toughness. You know you're not done for a little bit still. Oftentimes there's a headwind and you have a slight uphill, so you're still working really hard. So I think if you're mentally prepared for that section, you'll do yourself a favor in knowing, like, after you descend Keevens, you're actually not done. And I think that's a mistake I made, maybe, in the past. And you're not done. The race isn't over till it's over. So
let's talk about technique real quick there, because when you make that left, that's mile 102. Instantly, you're in kind of loose terrain, bouldery almost. What are some of the techniques you use to make sure that your back wheel's not slipping out on you? How do you approach that first pitch right there?
It is rocky and it's loose, so choosing a line that looks good, and then use your gears. You don't want to stand up there, so keep it smooth. And you're going to be tired, so keeping it smooth is going to be hard, but smooth is fast. So that's what I would encourage you to work on.
I am not going to use my gears.
Because you're going to have one. you have no choice.
Apart from that is great. Great advice. The thing is, you and I rode up the boulevard today, and then it rained. It is the line for that first rocky 0.2 of a mile changes from weather event to weather event. So keep your eyes forward. Don't look at just the next rock, but the line that is going to be the easiest to get you past that gate. And then we promise the boulevard is going to get a little bit less steep, and it's going to get a lot more smooth. And if you treat it like two separate things, you're going to have a better time. My mistake was the first time I ever rode up the boulevard was that first 0.2 of a mile kind of defeated me. I was like, it is going to be like this for the rest of my life. And it kind of felt like it was. You get past that and realize that now it is a 2% grade, if that, and you can really start to roll and start thinking about that red carpet finish.
Then it does turn to packed dirt before you eventually hit pavement. At what point, Rose, do you look over your shoulder at all, see if anybody's coming?
Yeah, I did that last year. I had a really great draft. We were moving really fast. I looked back, and I just assumed it was Mariah Wilson, who we're very, very sad not to have her with us this year. But I know how strong she is. And I was like, I told the guy I was drafting off of, I was like, she's coming for me. I got to go. And it was about 2 miles, and I burned every match I had to the finish, and it wasn't her. So, yeah, you definitely can psych yourself out there.
And that brings up an important, the numbers for the boulevard. It feels like it is 10 miles long. It feels like you are climbing 700 feet. But the reality is the boulevard is 2.2 miles long. It is 360 feet of climbing. It is a pretty achievable thing. It just feels like so much more because you are, of course, finishing a 105-mile race.
Yeah, and then you're on pavement at, what, mile 104?
104 point something.
104.5. You make a left on pavement, then right on 6th. And then another little kicker up 6th.
It hurts.
That one hurts. Not fun.
It's only 50 feet, but it feels like a lot more. You are done and ready for it to be done. And then you're over the top, and you can see that finish line. The red carpet, maybe a red light. How does that feel?
Yeah, what a relief. It's a very joy-filled moment.
Yep. a great moment too. And of course, the person that's standing at the end of that red carpet was our first guest here, Merilee. She has a medal for you and a hug, hopefully. And if you're not bashful, you'll take that hug. I hope you will. So, Fatty, let's stick with our course theme because we've covered it, all year, and get Rose's impressions about the course, a wider view, Rose, of the course. Like, what are the things you circle on your playbook about the Leadville Trail 100 course that you really feel like you have to focus on?
Well, I think I like the course because I do break it down into sections. It's an easy course to break into sections. It's a climb, descent, flat, climb, descent, and then you come back the same. And so it helps with fueling a lot because I think, gel at the top of the climbs. I need my rice cakes on pavement, dirt. And so it's, you can easily break it up, and that might be confusing, but I study it a lot and I break it down into achievable segments. And I think that helps a lot to complete it, and it helps it to go by fast.
Now, you are famous for riding your own race, for really riding at the pace that you want to ride at. And that was the focus of almost an entire show we did last year. This year, of course, is the Grand Prix. And there are going to be a lot of other fast, strong, incredibly competitive women giving you the challenge of your life. Is that going to change your strategy for this weekend?
Obviously, I've thought about this a lot, and no. I will be sticking to a time trial type of strategy, and I know the start's going to be fast, and I know I'm going to be letting women go, and I'm prepared for that, and I'm going to be confident in that. And I think I just kind of have to let it play out and hope it works out for me. I do have, I guess, the advantage of having more experience than most of my competitors. And I think that will pay dividends. And so rather than being like, I want to be such and such a top 5, I'm going to more be like, I want to be close to my time last year, within, real close, or beat it would be even better. And if I can beat my last year's time, I don't care what place I am, I'm going to be psyched.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had a great chat with Rose at the end of last season about your pacing strategies. It's folks, you should go back and listen to it. It really is a lesson for a lot of folks about how to approach a long event like this, how to stay within yourself, how to have a plan and then execute it. And that's what Rose does. And that's the confidence I think you have in your plan and in your training and your coaching.
I do think that success in this race really comes down to eliminating mistakes. And I'm really counting on a lot of my competition to make some mistakes. So.
Hey, bike choice last year was a dilemma for you. I know you ride for Juliana, but you wanted to be on hardtail. Where do you stand this year with bike choice?
Yep, we have custom painted hardtail Julianas this year. They're the highball frame from Santa Cruz, but I'll be on my hardtail.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah, with a Maxxis Aspen 225 EXO tire. This race is one on the climbs, so I choose the setup that's lightest on the climbs.
Are you, I forget, dropper?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, you
That's
don't need
right.
a dropper for the climbs, but I like a dropper. Yeah, those descents are technical enough.
Okay.
We've talked enough about the droppers that it really does make a lot of sense for a lot of riders. If you have been riding droppers in your training, it seems almost crazy to switch over to a hard seat post when you are racing because it feels so different all of a sudden.
All right, Rose Grant, we're going to wish you luck on Saturday. Thanks so much for being on the show with us.
Thank you.
Twice now, so you've really given us a lot of your time.
Thank
We'll be
you.
rooting for you.
Everyone, Rose Grant.
Rose Grant, your two-time defending champion here at the Leadville Trail 100 mountain bike race. Thanks again to Rose. Fatty, all right. Hey, we were on the ride today. I was checking out your bike, and what do you know? A heck of a lot of Envy product on that bike.
M6 bar with that 780 width and this 20 millimeter rise gives me a lot of leverage for when I am rowing up a climb on a single speed. And not to mention a really nice, comfortable reach for the standing climbing. A lot of shorter stems are kind of the rage right now. I ride with actually an NV Road stem, which is every bit as strong as it needs to be for mountain biking. And I am actually riding with G23 wheels on my mountain bike single speed, which means, I'm riding gravel wheels on a single speed mountain bike. The thing is, NV gravel wheels are as tough as basically most companies' enduro wheels.
Right.
These are strong, tough, reliable, really easy to just, really easy to stay on all day wheels. It's hard to beat. Love and envy.
And of course, I imagine I'll have a set of NV wheels out in the pit for you, waiting in case some disaster happens with a flat or like anything like that, right? There's all kinds of NV rolling out of the fatty garage.
Lisa will be riding on M5 wheels, of course. I have a 7-year-old set of NVXCs that will be my pit crew emergency wheels. They are every bit as true and every bit as good as they were the first time I rode them in Leadville. I think I've ridden that set of wheels 5 times on this course.
Awesome. All right, for the most reliable, best-made wheels and components in the industry that are built as if they're made for the LT100 in mind, go to ENVE, that's ENVE.com. All right, you probably noticed we have 2 new guests up here on the stage. We're on a stage for the folks who are listening to this podcast. Lifetime actually set up a stage and an easy up. We've got some rain here. And we've got, just for me.
Really, everyone should have seen us scramble. We had all of everything set up, all of these electronics set up, and then the skies opened up. You should have seen how fast we got all of these electronics under the table a couple hours ago, and a tent over our heads.
And of course, now the sun's out. We've
Perfect.
got a rainbow. Naturally. That's Leadville, folks. All right, so we've been talking about a lot of changes for this race this year. This race is taking, the Leadville 100 is taking yet another step, I think, forward in its progression. And so to talk about some of what's going on, some of the highlights of what's going on for this race this year and for the future, we have with us your race director, Tamira Jenlink, and Ryan Cross from Lifetime to get a little insight about some of the big things I think you folks are trying to tell racers this year. I mean, it's important, I think, as things evolve with a race, as things changes, that you really hit home some big points. So Tamira, what are some of the main things you're trying to tell racers this year about the LT100?
Yeah, thank you. I think the biggest thing I want to say, first of all, is thank you. You all have come out, you have asked what we can do, how we can show up. You've asked numerous ways and numerous times, and that, in addition to a lot of talk behind the scenes with our group of how we can refine things, has led to conversations around how we show up in Leadville, how we are a part of this community. As you've heard Ken and Merilee already say today, welcome family, and they mean it from every ounce of their being, and how do we be a good part of family? So we've taken a hard look at what little things we can do to make a big difference. So, and again, I want to say thank you, because all season long we have seen from marathon forward, we did some changes where we added shuttles, we added parking, we asked you to park a little further away, take those shuttles, and people have shown up and actually done that, so thank you. Those things are in play this weekend in larger force than ever this weekend and next weekend. And a lot of this is about how we decrease impact on the community of Leadville and how that shines who we are as a team, as athletes, as crews, as spectators, as we show up in this environment. So a lot of our focus has been around details like that, as well as sustainability, and how do we look at the footprint of these big events, and how do we overall make some shifts that continue to decrease that footprint around waste, cups, overall what's left over at the end of a race, garbage, C4, our recycling team. We've put a lot of energy into zero waste, those areas, and just asking you all to be a part of that, and you all have shown up and been a part of that. And part of what makes family is that we are able to hear one another and go, okay, this community is speaking. They're saying, hey, this is 3,000 people that I got to tell you all right now has turned into 9,000 people, right? And we feel that in this community. You go to Safeway, it's a little hard to buy any food right now, right? And we're all feeling that. And this is how we get to show up is we have the privilege of this backdrop. We have the privilege of these races right here. And everybody look around because, oh, wait, the rainbow moved over here. It was over there. Now it's over there. The rain comes, the rain goes. It's a beautiful backdrop, and it's a privilege. And I think the big thing for me is just thank you for joining us in some of these endeavors and these changes and the things we're focused on. Continuing to show up in that, and we look forward to doing that with you on course. We have some other logistical changes that we're making, around cutoffs, corrals. I'm going to but Ryan will speak to some of these pieces. And there are things we'll talk about more tomorrow at the racer meeting, so we hope you'll join us there. But we have attempted to hear you and figure out how we can address some of the concerns that you've had as well, and that's been a big focus as well. So the impact in the community, but also what is the athlete experience and how do we adjust and hear, oh, wait, we might have tried something new and we might have missed a little bit. How can we address that? And so those have been big focuses as well.
Yeah, I mean, Tamira made some really good points, and I just want to drive in the fact that we're listening. We're a part of this community. I mean, we're out there riding and running. Tamara's more of a runner than I am, but we all ride. We all enjoy Leadville in the same way that you guys do, and to make these changes is to serve you, to make this a better race experience for everyone. We want to show up year over year and continue to refine this process. And Tamira and I and our entire team work so closely. And while we're part of a big organization, we're a small team. It's a small team that puts these events on, and we listen to you. We're a part of the racer community, and everything that we're doing is to try to make a better experience for you.
We talked a lot about White Corral with you, Ryan, and with you, Tamira. Just describe, is anything changed with White? It's going to be the 3 sections for White, or is it the same message, self-seating? What should riders in White anticipate Saturday morning?
Yeah, that's correct. So it's going to be self-seated, and there's 3 White Corrals this year, and the effort there was to try to spread things out, just make things more equitable, less crowded. In the past, we've seen that the White Corral just gets a little dense. There's a lot of people in there. So in order to spread that out, we've added 3. Tamara's put together an awesome plan around that. There's going to be volunteers on site in the morning to help you get seated. They are self-seated, so if you're trying to be up front and get into White 1, we recommend you get there rather early in the morning. If you're just trying to finish and you are less concerned about being up there and on the speedy, pointy end of things, then settle in towards the 2nd or 3rd White Corral.
Fantastic. I want to ask you a question about something that has been on my mind. I've been here for about a week and a half, and have noticed that we've gotten rain more or less every day around the time that 9.5 to 10 hour finishers would be coming across the finish line. Those of us who did the Leadville 100 in the year 2000 have a very sharp, can never be erased memory of what it is like to finish a race with no brakes and fully hypothermic. Are there things that you are planning to do as a race organization for safety? And is there a message that you might have for racers to think about for themselves and what they bring along on race day?
We were just having a little more of this conversation. So, and I think in part it is race by race. What is the race that we're doing? So we've had a series of races already this year. Marathon, for example, goes up Mosquito Pass. You're exposed for 3 hours, potentially people 2, 3, 4 hours, depending on kind of that up and down. And so what we look at and talk about as a team together is, okay, where are the hard lines? Where do we have to make some adjustments that are maybe something that we haven't looked at as closely in the past, but we are looking at closer? How does that differ from mountain bike? Your exposure is maybe 20 minutes, maybe it's an hour. And so looking at those pieces really closely, we really strongly encourage everybody to have a jacket with you on this ride in particular. Saturday afternoon, we're going to see rain up there, and we all know that rain down here felt like it did just a little bit earlier. And a few more 1,000 feet up, it's colder. It's typically windier, and that has an impact. And certainly you're going much faster on that downhill, so bring your jacket. In terms of a hard cut around the mountain bike portion, that's not in the works right now, but it's something that we are taking very closely. And at any moment when things hit, like we have worked closely with, currently we've changed our dynamics a bit so that we're working very closely with local search and rescue teams. We're working close with law enforcement. So we have actually a master plan together around, okay, together we'll make decisions. So it's not just this entity or that entity, but all the groups of people who might need to be present to help get people out safely.
Ryan, give us a picture about Harrison, lining up on Harrison this year. I mean, a lot of us are used to lining up right here to my left. People on the podcast can't see where I'm pointing, but we're on Harrison this year. How is that going to look?
Yeah, that's a new change that we're pretty excited about. So, like you said, in the past that we lined up on the east side of 6th, the cross on the other side of Harrison, but now we're actually going to be lining up south of 6th and Harrison. So those corrals will be forming on the south side. So you'll see the signs, like we alluded to, with the 3 white corrals and the progression all the way up to gold. Those signs will be there. So just make sure that you start in the corral that you're assigned to. But yeah, they'll be lining up on Harrison, and then the flow, as the riders are facing north, you'll make a left turn onto 6th and flow right up towards the start line.
And one thing that Fatty and I have tried to emphasize, throughout the season and in past seasons is, man, the cutoff, the chip time thing really can catch people off guard, especially newbies. I mean, I would say this is a time of day race, not a chip time race, but a time of day race for a large percentage of people out there. So one more time, Tamara, if you could help people understand, if you're concerned about cutoff times, what are they trying to focus on?
So first of all, I will make this sort of very clear, is that we took the waves, we made sure that we adjusted those cutoff times. So no matter if you are the last wave or the first wave, you still have equal amount of time, equal opportunity to get to those cutoffs. So that's the first important piece. We learned that from last year. We heard you, and it was the first year trying something, so we made a very concerted effort to get out there and really focus on, okay, what is the time frame? We need to make sure that everybody has that equal piece. So you have a full 20 minutes between the first wave going out and the last wave going out. And from there, we added and made sure you had 20 minutes at each cutoff added as well. The next focus point, folks, is really thinking about, okay, getting through that first, as Rose talked about, take it segment by segment, take it step by step, get through Columbine, get back to Twin Lakes. So your outbound on Twin Lakes is 10:50 a.m., your inbound is 2:35. Okay, you got some time, but keep focused. And I think that Columbine piece is stay on your bike, keep pedaling. Do not stop. When you get up there, get a drink, get something, but get right back on that bike and get down. We have a tendency sometimes to get up there and want to get off, but stay on the bike and keep your head down and pedal. Get down out of the cold and the wind so you're not hitting that hypothermia. And then you get past, you got the 2:35. You've still got an hour now to your next cutoff at Pipeline. That's 3:35. Some things that we'll talk about tomorrow. We are going to make some addendums here that are around a very clear, if you do not make one of those cutoffs, we're going to have you not on course from that point forward. Okay. So that will be, we'll have a shuttle option and we'll have an alternative ride home option. This is all about safety, your safety. It's also about the safety of our SARS team, who's making sure that we know who the last people on course are and are following those people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the tricky thing is people might go, well, they pulled me, but I'm just going to ride in anyhow. I'm going to try and follow the course in. That just causes trouble for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, the cutoffs are no joke. I mean, when you have been pulled from the course, it is time to get off the course.
It just means, look, we want you to safely get home. That's the idea there, right?
That's exactly right. And we've spent a lot of time. This is, a lot of years in the making of what are those cutoff times. This has been thought out. It's been worked out. It's been ridden out multiple times. We have as conservative as we can be and as abundantly generous as we can be at the same time without risking your safety. So when we think about that 3:35 cutoff at Pipeline, which is generally the hardest one for everybody, and it's hard on both sides, right? Emotional and physical. So I get there. If I'm just on the underside of it, awesome. Keep going. That's a really important piece. Do not pull off right after that cutoff and sit down for 20 minutes. That's another thing that can happen a lot too. And that can deflate the rest of your ride and not make that final cutoff at 6:20 at Carter.
Right. Okay. Well, we don't want to turn this into a racer meeting because there's one tomorrow. And look, I know a lot of times folks will say, I don't need to go to the racer meeting. I've been to one before, two before. This sounds like one of those years that you really do want to make a full effort to get down to the racer meeting and listen to all these instructions, because there have been changes, and there's changes in there that can affect just about any racer who lines it up.
100%.
And I want to say one last thing before you two take off. Hottie and I have noticed some changes that, have affected us personally. We've been doing this show this is our 5th year, and here we are suddenly up on the stage at a lifetime event. Mm-hmm. You guys were promoting our little group ride with 200 plus riders earlier this morning in your email newsletter. You people are reaching out and making changes to the race that, at least from the perspective of our little independent podcast, is a pretty big deal for racers and for folks like us. So thank you.
Thank you guys for having us. It's been fun.
Okay.
Thanks very much, y'all. Hey, everybody, have a great time tomorrow. We'll see you, or on Saturday, we'll see you on the start line and finish.
All right, Fatty. we got to talk about your food.
We need to talk about me. It's really all about me. If we could just have this whole episode be about me, that would really be.
Isn't it?
That would be.
Most episodes are about
Most
you.
episodes are all about me. No, the feed. In our little group ride this morning, we had the feed as our primary sponsor. They've been with us since day one of all 5 seasons of this show. And they are a company that we trust as the source of our expertise for all of our nutrition, supplements, recovery, everything for this and for every race.
Supplement packs delivered by subscription and customized by day for your endurance racing needs. Plenty of non-food items like U-Sweet packs, which Fatty loves, and the Theragun, which I always need. Nothing like a good massage, right? Lots of stuff. More than just food and nutrition at the feed. Lots of great items there.
Yep, and they make custom bottles, which we gave more than 100 away of today. That was pretty awesome.
Very nice. Thefeed.com/Leadville to get signed up for your $20 per quarter credit. And if you're here at the Expo, the feed is too. Go by and see them, say hi. Tell them this little podcast sent you over to hassle Brandon Dykstra House and his team over there at the feed. All right. Let's get down to a topic that you and I love to obsess about. That is bikes and bike preparation. And we think we've recruited 2 of the finest in the business here to help us get your bikes rolling. Now, Fatty and I have long said on this show, you don't change things last minute. We're here in the last minute, folks. This is the last minute. So if you're thinking about swapping, I don't know what, it's probably a bad time to do that. But your bike still needs some love, right? It still needs some attention. So to help us with that, we've got Jeremiah Bishop, who owns, by the way, a 6-hour, 1-minute time across this course, which I think puts you. Are you
one of the 5 fastest
best
finishes ever,
or tied for third with Christopher, or somewhere in there,
something like that.
Okay.
I like to say it's tied, but he did beat me in the sprint. But I also led the entire last 8 miles because I knew that 6 hours was possible. Yeah. He was more thinking about the podium. I was like, I don't care. This is my best time ever. I'm going to try to put this thing down. And then he agreed not to sprint and then sprinted.
Yep. Jeremiah rides for Canyon Bikes, and he knows his way all around a bicycle. How to fix it, how to make it go fast. How to find ways to make it go fast.
It is not just that Jeremiah is a fast guy. It is that Jeremiah is a super nerd about his bike and that he really loves the process.
I'm a nerd in recovery. Let's just get that straight. I was hoping you were going to have me up here to talk about beer because you said my favorite topic, but bikes will, we can talk about bikes.
Yeah.
Second, is that second at least?
It's definitely second.
Okay.
I think it's something to be said, when we're talking about bike prep, final preparations. I was on a podcast just last week talking about a lot of things you should never do that I do. But, when you look at your preparation, you have to have confidence in your preparation. A big part of that, like you said, comes down to knowing everything's going to be consistent, reliable, and as you planned it. So that's a great tip.
Yeah, and also to help us with this little topic here is Josh Poertner, CEO of Silca. And
speaking of nerds.
It's consultant to Pro Tour teams.
I like to say he's technically adept.
He loves a little discussion about aerodynamics and drivetrain efficiency and rolling resistance. And, of course, we get together with Josh, Fatty, and I do on a little show called the Marginal Gains Podcast. So Josh is here to help us, too. Get your bike ready in the final days here, what you can do, maybe what you shouldn't do as we lead up to the LT100 here on Saturday. So, Jeremiah, take us through what would be typical for you. You're lining up for a big 100-miler. What are you going to do here over the next couple days to get the bike ready?
To get the bike ready, you set it out in the rain, first of all. Bad joke.
As it starts raining?
As it starts raining. Well, no. I mean, obviously, cleaning the bike is not one of those things that you think is going to help with performance. But in fact, it's the time when I catch a sidewall that's torn, a chain link that's bent. I'm sure Josh could chime in on, how much faster a clean bike actually is.
Absolutely. Yeah, clean drivetrain can be as much as 10, 12 watts faster. Just cleaning, doing what you normally do, but just cleaning it and then doing that, 10 or 12 watts.
Yeah, because we hear that term thrown around all the time, a clean bike is a fast bike. Josh, there's data to back it up, correct?
Lots of data.
Yeah. And just washing your bike too can make it faster. Like getting the down tube scrub clean of mud or any debris or anything like that. That all helps.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely plays more of a role, like the Pro Tour speeds. The faster you go, the more important that is. But I think Jeremiah nailed it too with the inspection piece. Really getting in there, looking at stuff, the details there. You can find the thing that could take you out. You're going to discover in that last minute wipe down inspection prep, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely.
It's really critical.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like the bike is like your horse, right? And you wouldn't leave your horse out in the cold. And I know this sounds really dumb, but just let me
I like it.
digress
I like where you're going.
for a minute here. Your bike is your horse. And your horse and you need to have that bond. You need to keep tight. And so, like, before big races, I know it sounds weird. I don't leave my bike down in the bike storage in Europe. I don't leave my bike in the trailer. I have my bike in my room. I want to be able to look at my bike. I need to be able to feel like, all right, are you with me? Yes, I'm with you. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. And have that dialogue back and forth where you really feel connected to the machine. You're comfortable in the machine. One of the biggest things I advocate to my clients is to ride the bike you're going to race the month up to a key event. This is going to really help with biomechanics. It helps with real patterns of movement and things like that. Again, another reason why you don't want to change saddle height the day before the race. You don't want to change bar reach, any of these things you are thinking about. It is much better to go with something that's reliable, proven, and you're good with.
Mm-hmm. Josh, for Pro Tour mechanics, like what are some of the cues we can take from them that they do regularly to a bike, especially like in a stage race? You see the bikes come in, they got the vans all out, power washers. What are some of the cues we can take from them that they do that we can do right now?
Oh, gosh. So a lot of what Pro Tour mechanics do, we don't recommend, right? Because they're cleaning, 18 to sometimes as many as 30 bikes in a day. And so a lot of what they're doing is more about speed than quality. I would say the biggest thing we focus on really is attention to just the details of, you're looking for cracks. You're looking, like you said, that bent chain link, the chain ring, the details like that, checking torques on things, the torque of the C-post binder bolt, checking the torque around the stem, not tightening it, just ensuring that it's to spec, but because that's the kind of thing that can really catch you out. They will spend a lot of time, probably more time than they spend cleaning the bike. They will spend inspecting the tires. So wash the wheels, wash the bike, dry the tires, and then you will see the mechanic, like with a finger as a marker, just kind of slowly spinning, and they're looking for little cuts, right, or like things embedded in the tire that might be driven in the future, and if you can find a little cut and, repair it with a little super glue or a little shoe glue or something before it's cut through to the casing, you've saved yourself a possible failure tomorrow, or like a little piece of steel wire from inside of an automotive tire, right? If you can get that out and you're fine, maybe put a dab of super glue on that, you're good. Look at the sidewalls good. I would say so much of it is tire focused and then chain drivetrain focused.
Those are the biggest things that arise or will come up and bite you for mechanicals. Another thing that I'd say is sharing my own personal regimen. And so to step back, what am I going to do in the 24 hours, 36 hours before the event is if I'm going to do tires, which I have a rule to always race on new tires for important races, but I want to get a good ride on them. I want to make sure they're sealed. So the bike is going to be 100% for the pre-ride. So the pre-ride tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., the bike's going to have everything mounted on it. I've got my tire plugs on the stem. I've got my seat pack with the CO2, my chain link in it, multi-tool. I could open it blind, find my stuff, and fix my bike, like without missing a beat. But another thing that does is it gives us confidence, when you have everything in place and then you set your bike in your room and then you go, oh crap. And you might have missed one little tiny thing, and then you're, okay, now I can read my book and go to sleep. It gives you a good sense of preparedness, and I think also if you're going to have CO2 Velcros for your frame or pump Velcro, you're going to have to go find that stuff. Anyway, it gets you dialed, gets you ready to go. Typically, I roll with 2 different tire plugs. So I'm not, ashamed to say Stan's Dart's good for bigger holes. I have tape for very large sidewall holes. I have Innovations plugs with like the little bacon strips for really small punctures. It's always good to have 2 plungers or 2 of those things with you, because typically a snake bite is top and bottom, so you get the bead, but then you need to reload. And well, shit, air's coming out of the top, and typically you can put your thumb over it. So I like to have a second one loaded, and then I puncture the second one. Don't even lose much air. That really makes a big difference in being able to roll and get back on the bike. I learned a lot of that stuff in South Africa because they have flats all the time. Being able to fix it without really having to add air, that's pretty nice. I also run slightly higher PSI for this race. And that is more just for the rolling resistance. In a cross-country mountain bike race, I might be running 18 PSI and 20 in the back. And here, I'll bump it up a little bit just so I'm rolling a little bit faster.
Tell me what little bit means. 1, 2 PSI?
Oh, no. Like 4 PSI.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so low 20s.
What do you think of that, Josh?
I'm surprised. I would have expected a little bit lower. But the thing about Leadville, to me, that's interesting is the temperature gradient we expect through the day, right? So you're going to expect about 1 PSI tire pressure rise for every 10 degrees of ambient temperature rise. And then you're going to expect about another 0.7 to 1 PSI rise due to the frictional temperature gains of the actual riding. And so, you really need to be thinking about, and clearly you are, thinking about the pressure you want to have 20, 30 minutes into the race, and then as well as an hour or 2 hours into the race, and not just where you're starting, because it's gonna climb through the day as your day goes on.
That's like F1 level stuff. I mean,
well, that's why I have the cooling jacket on my tires. when I measure them,
bottle of ice water to cool them down.
Well, what I do, that's why I keep the bike in the room.
Yep.
So it's at 72 degrees. Yes.
Wow.
So I've done a bunch of 100 milers, probably more than anyone here, believe it or not. Racing the NUE series and racing a lot of these races, they all start very early, 6 a.m. So,
Josh, does altitude play any game in this pressure calculation thing? Because we start at 10,000, drop to 9,100, and go up to 12,600. Is there anything there?
Not enough to worry about. Yeah. If you were starting at sea level and coming up to 12, a little bit of a different story. But no, I think
that would be a race.
Yeah, that would be a race. But Jeremiah's point on the bike in the room is huge. This is a big Pro Tour problem that you can't keep the bikes in the room. And so, Paris-Roubaix, the bikes are on the side of the van early in the morning at 38, 39, 40 degrees. Yeah. And now we're playing a real complicated game. You can solve a lot of that with bike at 72.
One thing I wanted to extend what Jeremiah was talking about is, you're just talking about all of the things you do with your bike. I think that also has that there's also a piece of that for what you are going to have on you, from your helmet to your glasses to what you are wearing, and I might add to your cleats. That is the one thing that I rarely hear people talking about, checking the day or 2 days before the race, making sure that your cleat bolts are set.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's part of that whole bike check, check the bolts, lubing the chain after your pre-ride, washing the bike, and then to the morning of the race, that's when I'm doing, actually the night before. Let me back up. I missed a step. The night before, I do the layout because, hey, stage races, everybody's had an alarm clock not go off. Yep. You want to be able to have the fire drill, and that means like, oh shit, the alarm didn't go off. I have 20 minutes to get ready. You jump. The socks are in the shoes. The glasses are in the helmet. The sunblock is next to the chamois cream, which is next to the Band-Aids or whatever your regimen is, but it's laid out like a doctor's operating table. You have it locked and loaded. You're, if it's forecast to be like this, I'm going to have my Patagonia Houdini jacket with a hat rolled up inside of it so the hat stays dry. I'm telling you, I've been there, done that, and after being miserable, or forgetting something important, it's really nice to remember all those things. And sunblock, that is one thing I will not mess with.
Josh, it wouldn't be a discussion between you and me if I didn't bring up lubrication, bike lubrication.
The chain spa.
The chain spa. But no, some real world stuff here for Leadville racers. First of all, so everyone wants to lube their chain at sometime Friday. First question is, what's the kind of the time frame for that so you get adequate penetration? Obviously, different lubes vary, but there's probably a window in there that is best. Second, pit lubes. Give us some strategies for that. That, you know, if we come into a pit with a grimy, gritty, nasty drivetrain, do we do nothing? Do we something? What's the strategy there?
So the strategy up front is really depending on what lube you're riding. I would ideally, regardless of lube, you would want to lube the night before. After the pre-ride, right? Get the chain cleaned down. If you're hot waxing, I mean, we've literally had people today bring their crock pots by our booth to show off, like, I brought my crock pot, which is the thank you to all of those here who did that. But, you know, that you want to get as much lube in a clean chain as possible so that you're starting the best possible, low friction, full of, you know, when your chain is full of lube, it's really hard for other stuff to get in there. And so that's going to give you the longest period of time before you start seeing that frictional rise. I would say for pit lubes, we recommend always you're using wet lubes only, because all of the dry lube product out there tends to be some sort of like, solvent based, and it doesn't start working right away. It's got to go through, and it can clean, but if you lube for 20 seconds and start riding again, oftentimes you are now riding your chain through solvent, and you can be doing yourself a real disservice, pulling everything else out
of the rollers and between the mechanisms. Yeah.
And it's still, it can still be dripping. It's like, we make a drip wax product, and we don't recommend using that as a pit lube because it's just going to come right out.
Josh, can you lube my chain?
I will absolutely lube your chain.
Okay, there's so much double entendre going on here with all this hot
Jeremiah,
waxing
anytime.
and strange business. Sorry,
but
this is a PG show.
Well, it is a chain
I
spa.
see you guys out there laughing.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that's not funny.
Fatty, is your bike ready to go?
My bike is almost ready to go. I would love to have these two go through and check everything and make sure it is nailed. I will say that I kind of skip a number of the steps in the bike prep by taking my bike to Cycles of Life, the excellent bike shop here in Leadville. Brian, he cleans the bike. He absolutely goes through. I basically give him my credit card and say, fill it up. And anything that needs doing, he does. And they're not a sponsor of the show, but man, I'm a fan of any great bike shop. And here in Leadville, they have a really great bike shop, Cycles of Life.
Yep, and they'll be on course too. If you get in trouble near Twin Lakes alternate, they're usually out on course now.
Yeah, that's worth pointing out. Between the Twin Lakes aid station and Twin Lakes alternate on the section that goes around where we used to have the private short section of private double track, there is now Cycles of Life. They'll have a bike stand up, and they can take care of not every problem, but a lot of problems in very short order. So nice to have some smart people on course.
All right, Josh and Jeremiah, I think we're ready to go. I mean, I think our bikes are ready to go. I don't know if we're ready to go, but you know how that goes, right? Thank you both for coming on the show, sharing a little wisdom, a little bike wisdom.
Thanks for having us.
We love our
thank
bikes.
you.
They may seem emotionless bicycles, but we love them. They love us back.
Yeah,
There's some
absolutely.
truth to that, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll see you soon on Marginal Gains, Josh.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's terrific. Some good maintenance bike prep advice. That's always good stuff. A lot of folks probably thinking about that right now as they count it down for the Leadville Trail 100. Again, thanks to Jeremiah Bishop of Canyon Bikes and Josh Poertner, CEO of Silca, and a friend of ours for sure.
I should mention a little bit about Silca. I mean, Silca is not a sponsor of this podcast, but I have 3D tie printed cleats I'm going to be riding with. I'm riding with Synergetic Lube. I have the Matone seat pack, which is like my favorite seat pack ever. And Silca bottle cages. And of course, I'm using my Silca Pista Ultimate pump, which is like one of my very favorite, most treasured objects. I don't think Josh heard me say any of that.
Nah,
that was all for him.
He's too deep into another conversation already. So how about your clothing? Now, this is an important show. Jeremiah talked about laying everything out. I think people want to lay their kit out the night before, make sure they know exactly what they're going to wear. And your attire, sir, will be what?
Now, I mean, almost sort of a confessional time here for me because, I mean, we've been with DNA for a long time on this show, but I've been a Rafa Bibbs guy for, I mean, most of the duration of our podcast. That has changed, and I am now absolutely 100% all of the time riding with my adventure bibs by DNA. I find the chamois to be every bit as good as a pair of Rafa bibs, and they cost about half as much. I love the side panel pockets. That's where I know you like to keep an emergency gel in those. Right. I use it as a place to store my empty packets after I use a gel, and that way I never dig into my jersey to find a gel and find an empty wrapper instead. You know, everyone has their own different strategies, but they are comfortable, great bibs at an amazing price. And of course, they do custom kits, which is what we will be riding this weekend.
Show them your T-shirt. They do that too.
They also do T-shirts.
It's a different name
of
of
a
company,
spoke.
right?
That's right.
Right. So they do a lot for us. All right, let's wrap this episode. What do you say? Because everyone needs to get home and get their feet up. If you like this show, go wherever you listen to and give us a 5-star rating and review. We do appreciate that. In fact, do it right now. It's a good recovery activity. Just hang out, say, hey, maybe I give that little podcast a review, say some nice things about us. We really appreciate it. In fact, we appreciate all the folks who have supported the show over the 5 seasons. It's meant a lot to us. And it's probably been the reason why we've done, 100 and...
I think we're in our 130s. There, you could make it your full-time job for a month to listen to our podcast, and we recommend that you do so. Be sure to look for me on the course this Saturday. I am going for my 24th finish. I am not wearing my 20-year buckle right now because it is impossible to sit when wearing it. Say hi. I'll be wearing my orange kit with an orange laser helmet. I will be on an orange Air 9 RDO, single speed, 34x19. I'm sure everyone was wondering. And looking forward to seeing everyone out there and having a great season, a great race.
Yeah, everyone be safe out there, ride strong. We're thinking about all of you. We just hope you have a terrific day out on course. You want to take us home?
Yep, 100%. Okay. Good luck in your final prep. Good luck in your race. Thanks for listening, and we will see you in roughly 36 and a half hours at the starting line.